Hey guys, it's been a while since the last devlog. I'm really sorry about that. You have to know that I have a full-time job, which is very interesting, but I have long work days. And when I don't work, I have many other things to do, life. So I'm not dead, Pir4te isn't dead, but I'm quite busy and so Pir4te doesn't progress very fast. Anyway, don't worry, because I definitely intend to finish this project. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all as the YouTube channel has reached the 1000 subscribers milestone. It's absolutely incredible. Believe me, on my scale, it seems really excessive. I didn't think it would grow like this. So thank you to everyone who subscribed. For those who haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you to do so, only if you like the content of course. It allows you to be alerted when I publish a new video, it helps the channel to grow and reach more people, and it boosts me a lot. Having that said, let's get in the heart of the matter. I don't know about you, but I've personally played some of the Sims games, and I realized that I have more fun creating my characters than actually playing the game. Why? Because at the time it was the only game I know that gave the players that much freedom to create the character. It's not the best customization system in the world, nowadays it's something you can find in many games and better ones than the Sims one, but I think the Sims Saga was a precursor on this subject in the video game industry. For me, character customization is very important. Every player is unique, every player plays in a unique way, so every player should be able to create a character that reflects their personality and their playstyle. Beyond that, we know that allowing players to customize their character greatly improves their engagement in the game. Just take the example of Fortnite, which made more than $5 billion in 2020 by selling skins to the players, even if these skins don't provide any advantage in the game. $5 billion for 3D models. Well, I'm not going to make $5 billion tomorrow, but I definitely intend to include character customization in my game. In fact, it's one of the first things I did in Pir4te. Hey everyone, it's Swan, we're back for a 5th devlog in which I'll show you my first character customization system which I created at the very beginning of this project in April 2020. Then the second version of this system which I've been working on for a few months now, and finally I introduced the third version of this system which doesn't exist yet but should be amazing. I don't tell you more, we'll see that in a few minutes. So, let's start from the beginning. As I said, character customization is super important to me in a game. So important that it was one of the first things I worked on when I started the game. To give you a reference, I developed this first custom character creation system before I even worked on the parkour system presented in the devlog number 2. Note that I'm talking about the creation of the character before starting the game, not the customization during the game, which will be another topic. The starting point was the Polygon Pir4te pack from Synty Studios, which is the asset that contains all the 3D models of the environments, props, buildings, weapons, etc. that are used in the game. This asset also contains several characters, declined in 4 colors, which are very nice, they fit completely with the Pir4te universe, but well, it's not enough to allow real character customization. This is where a second Synty Studios asset, which I haven't told you about yet, comes in. Polygon Modular Fantasy Hero Characters. This pack allows you to create modular characters, which means that the character is divided into categories: head, hair, torso, legs, arms, and etc. And for each category, the asset offers many different 3D models. In addition to the body parts, the asset contains a lot of equipment, hats, helmets, shoulder pads, elbow pads, knee pads, etc. and weapons like swords, shields, axes, spears. In total, there are 720 modular elements, which makes it possible to create a multitude of unique characters. In addition, if we consider the custom shader that allows you to modify all the colors, we reach a level of customization that deserves the name. Regarding the style, we are on a medieval and fantasy style, so we have a lot of armors, a lot of metal, which doesn't always fit with the Pir4te universe, but there are still several modular elements that fit well, and of course we find the Synty Studios low poly style, so I decided to dig in this direction and I started to work on the first version of my system. So if you're used to looking at indie game devlogs, especially low poly games, you've probably already seen character customization systems that use the same asset. It's very interesting to look at what other developers do. Everyone uses a slightly different approach, many brings very relevant ideas, but generally speaking, you see that they almost all use arrows to navigate between the different modular elements. For my visual interface, and this is my first ever UI, I wanted to do something really visual, using thumbnails for all the different modular elements, a bit like in The Sims. It's, in my opinion, much more pleasant and easy to use for the player, it saves time and it encourages creativity. But it also involved a lot more work because I had to create all the thumbnails manually. First, I created a custom scene, using the demo scene created by Synty Studios and removing everything that was out of the camera's vision. I added the Poseidon ocean, the Jupiter sky, some post-processing but not much to not alter the colors, and I placed the character, who, as you can see, has a decency to be asleep. Then I started working on the UI. The idea was to have something quite modern, organized in different tabs for the head, the body, the colors, and the identity of the character. For the UI animations, I use a small asset called LinJUI. I recommend it, it's available on the Unity Asset Store, it's completely free, and it allows you to animate your UI either with blocks in the inspector or directly via scripts. Personally, for this first devlog, I used inspector blocks because I wasn't yet familiar with the scripting part, but today I only use this asset with scripts because it's much easier to manage animations when you're doing a lot of them. Next step, I added some controls to allow the player to rotate the character, either by pressing A or E or Q on E for QWERTY keyboards, or by click and drag. I also added the ability to zoom in and out using 2 camera positions. Then came the not funny part, thumbnails. Let me show you how I did them. I created a scene in which I placed the modular character, a big white cube, some spots for light, and a camera. Then for each modular element, I took a screenshot, yes, really, and I pasted it into photo filter. I then used the manual setup tool to get the square at the right dimensions, then set the right background to transparent and save the image with the right name. Once the image was imported and set up in Unity, I could use it in the UI. I did this process by hand 552 times. It took me hours. By the end, I know the keyboard shortcuts by heart and I didn't even need to look at my screen. I know it wasn't the right way to do it. I know that a good developer is a lazy developer and that I should have developed a small tool to automate the process. But when I created this first customization system, I know almost nothing about C#, I didn't know how to deal with the problem, and I preferred to do with the tools I already know, even if it was extremely stupid. Anyway, 552 thumbnail generations and some aspirants later, I was able to work on my beautiful UI, with categories, scroll bars, and beautiful buttons. I coded some C# scripts for the visual aspect of the buttons, on hover, on click and selected colors, border colors, etc. And of course another script to enable and disable the right modular elements on the character. When the modularization was operational, I worked on the colors. For the skin, hair and eye colors, I didn't want the player to be able to choose any color, so I proposed a panel of predefined colors with buttons like the modular parts. For the other colors, especially those used for the clothes, I wanted to give the player more freedom and I created a HSV color picker, which is, in my opinion, easier to use than a RGB picker. So HSV is H for hue, S for saturation, which is the intensity of the color, and V for value, which is the brightness of the color. Note that I have voluntarily limited the min and max values of saturations and value to avoid having too flashy, too dull, too dark or too light colors. And finally, the last page is used to give a name to the pirate. I decided to give the character a first and last name and to prevent the selection of numbers and special characters. I don't really want to have pirate called Master or Kelly 8 Night, especially if I implement a multiplayer mode. I want to give the player as much freedom as possible in the character customization, but I want the characters to stay realistic and credible in the game. Once the name is given, you can confirm the character's creation and start the game. When I finished this custom character creation system, I was especially proud because it was my first real achievement on Pir4te. It's only after that I worked on the parkour system, the ocean, the buoyancy, and the sailing system that you saw in the previous devlogs. However, with time, I realized that there were some defaults. Navigating in the visual interface was not very easy, especially scrolling, as there were horizontal scrolls in the categories, in addition to the vertical scroll of the page. Color selection was difficult, the HSV selector was not intuitive, and often we left a color because of laziness to find a better one. I left all the modular elements that looks too medieval to fit the Pir4te universe. I didn't integrate the attachments into the system at all, and I didn't like the UI very much. I don't know how to explain that, but I was convinced that I could do better. So, in April 2021, 1 year after the first version of the system, I decided to work on a second version. I directly show you the result. The scene configuration is the same, we keep the character on the right and the UI on the left. We can still rotate the character and zoom on his head, but the UI has been completely redesigned. We have a central square, which contains the modular parts, and I deleted the parts that were too medieval. And around this square we find the gender at the top, the categories at the left, the colors at the bottom, and the scroll bar at the right. The categories are organized in big categories for head, body, and attachment, and the colors are filtered according to the selected big category. For example, we don't need to display the hair color if you are selecting the arms. Concerning the attachments, some of them automatically disable the hair of the bird, beard, so that you don't get weird stuff like that. As you can see, all the modular parts are currently available, which means that the system currently allows the player to create their character with all of the clothes and attachments offered in the game. For the final version of the system, it would be judicious to not offer everything here, and to give the player the opportunity to earn or to buy clothes as he progresses in the game. For now, as I'm focused on the customization system mechanics, I left the access to all modular parts. Regarding the color selection, there have been a lot of changes. I decided to use a little asset, Flexible Color Picker, which is really a little gold nugget. Like the Link GUI asset, I highly recommend it. It's on Unity Asset Store, it's completely free, and it allows you to have very customizable color pickers. The main advantage is that we still have a HSV picker with a hue selection in the bar displayed on the right, and the saturation and value selection are done in the central square, which is much easier to use than the two sliders we had before. On the other hand, I have some problems imposing min and max values for the saturation and value selection, to avoid having too flashy, dull, dark or light colors. This feature was not offered in the asset, so I tried to dissect its code to add it myself. Obviously, I didn't succeed at all. I clearly don't have enough skill to appropriate and modify someone else's code, especially when the code is 3 miles long. So I checked the asset page on the Unity Asset Store, found the developer's email address and sent him an email asking for help. The guy was adorable. First of all, he answered me. Personally, I didn't think he would do it. And on top of that, he accepted to add the functionality himself and to put the new version online. Thanks to him, I was able to fix min and max values to all color pickers, even for hair, skin or eyes colors, instead of imposing predefined colors. So really, if you developer guys are looking for a color picker, you can use this one with your eyes closed. Finally, we have the final panel to name our Pir4te, and as you can see, I had a lot of fun with the animations. As for the first version of the system, I used the Link GUI assets, but this time I control all the animations directly from C# scripts and not from blocks in the inspector. It's a lot of lines of code, but it really allows me to decompose each movement and create a final result that I found very pleasant to look at. I'm not going to show it in this devlog, but you have to know that beyond the visual interface of the second version of the system, I've completely recoded the customization system, which is much more reliable, robust and optimized than the first one I coded 1 year before. This second version of the system is also integrated into the whole game management system that I recently created. I'll show you everything in a future devlog about the main menu, the pause menu and the whole save system, which of course had to take into account the character customization. So this second version is much better than the first one. Well, the opposite would have been worrying, but I think we can still go further. First of all, there is a work to be done on the modular parts. We are, in my opinion, not enough in the pirate universe. Where is the captain's hat, the wooden leg and the torn cloth is? And then there is something that shocks me a lot in the current customization system, which is that all the characters are the same size, the same weight and the same age. Where are the small and the big, the fat and the thin, the children and the elders? There is something to be done, we can't stop here. So, I was about to start working on the third version of the system, ready to cap up the Polygon Pirate Pack characters to make modular elements, and then on the Synty Studios Discord, I saw a post published by the Synty team announcing a new asset to come. This asset will change everything. It will be called Polygon Character Designer, and it will allow us to go even further in the character customization. Organizing modules for almost all Synty universes, we will be able to mix between them any module, and yes, the pirate module is included. The tool will allow us to customize the face with the addition of modular elements for the nose, the eyes and the teeth. The tool will also integrate a blending system allowing the characters to have facial expressions and to synchronize their lips movement with sounds, which is incredible. We'll have progressive blending to have fat or thin characters, progressive blending between men and women, and much more. Synty Studios also announced improvements to come on the shader without more info at the moment. For now, we don't know more, but Synty announced that the first packs will arrive in 2021. I don't know if it will allow customizing the character's height and age, but in any case, I can't wait for this asset to be released. As you can guess, I intend to use it for the third version of my customization system. So I take this opportunity to take my hat off to Synty Studios. Thank you for the incredible work you do, and of course thanks also to the Synty Studios community. They are always super nice people to give advice, encourage and to show ultra inspiring projects. It's a huge source of motivation for me, so keep it up. Okay guys, I think we're good for this devlog. I sincerely hope you liked it, that it made you want to play the game when it comes out, that it inspired you and that it entertained you. If so, please consider putting a little blue thumb. It costs nothing and it helps the channel a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, it helps the channel grow even more. Join the Discord if you want to see more content and get more info on the game. A few last words to thank you for your presence, for your super nice and constructive feedback. Take care of yourself, do what you are passionate about, and see you soon for our next devlog. Cheers!